Diego Pavia has proved that he is the best player in college football. He should win the Heisman.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Locked On Vandy podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcasting network in the world. I'm your host, Corey Burton, and bringing with me over a decade of experience in coaching and with the national sports media, serving with Yahoo Sports. On this episode, we're going to discuss Diego Pavia got accepted an invitation to the Senior Bowl. It's no longer the Reese's Senior Bowl. It's the Panini Senior Bowl. ReliaQuest Bowl stuff. Are there going to be any opt-outs? I don't anticipate there being many, if any at all. Eli Stowers and Diego Pavia were named to the first team All-SEC. But first, I'm going to tell you, I think Pavia has a slight edge in this Heisman race for, if you look beyond the stats, because I think he has the edge there. But if you look beyond the stats, I think if you really break it down, there's an edge in there somewhere. And we're going to talk about that and much, much more on this edition of the Locked On Vandy podcast. Thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. Shout out to the Everydayers Club. If you never miss a show, you're already one of us, and now you can make it official for as little as $5 a month or $50 a year. Join the Everydayer Club today, a community for our most loyal Vanderbilt fans. So check out the link in the show notes or head to lockedonvandy.supercast.com for more information. Also, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, if you want to be in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. So let's get into it. And you can also on FanDuel, you can place your Heisman odds. And I think it's going to be one of the tightest races in recent memory for the Heisman Trophy, because I do think Fernando Mendoza is absolutely deserving. And in most years, he probably would be a runaway to win this award. But you have Diego Pavia, who just keeps figuring out ways to prove people wrong and keep figuring out ways to just kind of be there in the mix. He's done that on the field. He's doing that with awards. He won the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award. He's doing that with his accolades. He's named first team All-SEC. He's doing that everywhere. Now it looks like he's doing that in New York City. Now, I'll say this. I am stoked to have a Vanderbilt player in the Heisman finalist list. Somebody sitting in that chair. And weeks ago, when the odds were very much stacked against him, I was like, just get him to New York. For Diego Pavia, you just got to get him there sometimes. And he gives you a really good chance. And what he did was he rattled off 4 straight games, 1,400 yards, 12 touchdowns, a QBR of 189, and just absolutely went on a tear. So statistically, I think he helped himself a lot. He was a 3,000 plus yard passer, almost 1,000 yard rusher. And those stats, I think, proved to make him statistically one of the most valuable players in all of college football to their team. But when you look beyond the stats, that's kind of where this race is going to go, because I think Mendoza's stats are very good, and they're good enough to kind of be like, okay, well, let's look at the context behind the stats. Let's look at the story that brings the individual to the stage. And for Mendoza, he transferred in from Cal. He transferred onto a team that was in the college football playoff a year ago, although they didn't make much noise at all when they were there. They got shellacked by Notre Dame, but they were there. They made it. Curt Cignetti has made that team what it is. Now, for Diego Pavia, here's where I think when you look at it, you really have to dive down and say, okay, what about Vanderbilt's performance is Diego Pavia responsible for? And you look at when he stepped foot on Vanderbilt's campus and you look at the evolution of his game. Now, I know it's not a career achievement award. I get that. But you look at the overall arc of his career and you look at the things that he's done that's led him to the doorstep of this season. And then you look at the things he's done and been able to take advantage of when this season started. And it was all foundational, even all the way back to JUCO. This guy's had a chip on his shoulder. He's been doubted his whole life. He's a 5'9" wrestler that's just been told he couldn't do this. He's told he couldn't do that. He grew up in a place in Albuquerque that just did not lend itself to anything positive. And I really liked his appearance on the pivot. I watched that today, and I really liked kind of his evolution as a public figure, because it's obvious that he's put time and effort into, I don't want to say improving his image, but I think the more of this you see, like the more of what his teammates see is coming out in the media. Because I think what came out in the media this summer, it came across as cocky, and I don't think he did a good job of creating that context around it. Is like, yeah, I'm confident and I feel this way because I feel good about my teammates. He didn't really exude that. He didn't do a good job exuding that. And he knew that. And going into the Alabama game, I think the Alabama game humbled him. I think it really brought him to a place to where he's like, okay, I've got to be intentional about what I say. I've got to be intentional to make sure that the world sees me like my teammates see me. And I think everything that he's done since has done that. And sure, he's had fun. He's being himself. He's being genuine. But all of that, I think, leads you to see why his teammates buy into what he does and buy into him as a leader. And I think some of that with voters, it has to be a factor with some of these voters, right? It's also the reason why I think he's been able to put up the numbers he's been able to put up. Like I think football is a team game, obviously. So you can't throw for 3,100 yards, almost 3,200 yards and 27 touchdowns without great teammates. Sure, he's made some mistakes, but Mendoza's thrown 6 interceptions. Pavia's thrown 8. So that's kind of a wash in that category. And yeah, Pavia had a horrible game against Alabama, but he bounced back from that because no one's perfect. Like no Heisman that's ever won the game has never had a bad game. I guarantee you look from the first Heisman to Travis Hunter last year. Every single one of them has had a bad game. Travis Hunter, I'm sure, has gotten cooked. You look at whoever, they've had bad games. So that doesn't really factor into it. But when you look at just everything around Pavia, you've got to look at the whole picture and why things have shaken out the way they've shaken out, right? He's been doubted. So he plays with that chip on his shoulder. He's got a been doubted wrestling mentality. He's tough as nails. He's not going to slide, which if he goes to the NFL, if he makes it, we'll talk about that later. But if he makes it, he better learn how to slide. But he's going to do everything he can to win and to help his teammates. He puts his teammates on a pedestal. He's been doing that a lot. Sometimes you don't hear it because you've heard some other stuff and you've kind of tuned him out. But like that guy will go to war for his teammates, and his teammates love him. They will do anything for him, and they absolutely love him. And I know a lot of people are nauseated by the Theo Vaughn stuff, and he's just at that age. He's a 20-something-year-old having fun with lots of money. Like I don't know how I would have acted in that scenario. So it's hard for me to cast stones at him, knowing that if I had that kind of money, I may have been doing similar things. So I can't really judge him for that. So, but nonetheless, like the story, the leadership, what he's been able to do in the offseason, he knew he had to improve as a passer. What did he do? He improved as a passer. He threw for over 3,000 yards against some very great defenses in the SEC. He put up 45 points. The only team to put up more than 24 points on Auburn's defense, Vanderbilt. He put up over 30 on Texas's defense. Their defense is pretty good. They've had a couple bumps in the road defensively for Texas, but they're really good, really talented. He put up 45 points on a Kentucky defense, which you can say what you want about Kentucky. Defense has rarely been a huge issue there. At Kentucky, it's usually their offense can't score. Against Tennessee in Neyland, goes up and puts up another 45 burger, right? And he over 400 yards of total offense. Like, there are performances that he's had. He put the team on his back against LSU when LSU still thought they had a chance at the college football playoff, when it still looked as if LSU was going to make a run and they could do something. That was a make or break game for LSU. Diego Pavia took that game, took control of that game, and LSU fell apart. And now people are like, it's not a quality win because LSU sucks. Well, they didn't suck at that point. They were ranked they were in the top 10 at that point. I think, or they were in the top 15 because I think Vandy was 10 and maybe LSU was 12 or 13 or something like that. They were both like right next to each other in the rankings. So it's one of those things where if you look at the context, if you look at the schedule, if you look at what he's done, 10-2 in the SEC at Vanderbilt is impressive enough as it is. But you look at what he was able to contribute to that 10-2 record, it's impressive. 826 yards rushing with 8 touchdowns, 3,192 yards of passing. Here's his stats. I'll put up his stats. All right. 71% passer, which no one thought that was going to happen. That was his biggest weakness last year. So he shows maturity in being able to know and being able to understand that I've got to grow as a player. I've got to get better in the passing game. Did they improve his targets? Not really. Like, Richie Hoskins was there last year. He's not going to knock anybody's socks off. He was extremely efficient, but he was a D3 lacrosse player, right? Your best receiver is your tight end, Eli Stowers, who's incredible. He's going to be a first rounder, but that's pretty much, as far as superstars or stars, that's pretty much what you had. Junior Sherrill overachieved, which I love Junior Sherrill. I think he's a great player, tenacious, but he's not a number one guy. You had Richie Hoskins. You had Trey Richardson, a D2 transfer out of freaking nowhere. I mean, he's got talent for days, but no one expected a D2 transfer to come in and have the impact that Trey Richardson had, right? But, like, there's leadership in that. And it's all in, you get these guys, you get these pieces, and Diego Pavia they were able to elevate each other, right? Pavia was able to elevate them. They were able to elevate Diego, and it just became a really good, tight-knit unit that became an explosive offense when they realized, hey, we can actually do this passing thing. And so that's something that you have to take into account if you're going to look at this Heisman race. It's the whole picture. It's the big picture. It's the context. It's beyond the stats. It's beyond team achievement. It's beyond, like, Mendoza has a hell of a resume, and it would be not even close in most years. But this year it's different. And that's where I think Pavia has the edge, or he should have the edge. I don't know how the voters are going to look at it, but in my mind, that should be the edge. And that's no slight at Fernando Mendoza, not one bit. Fernando Mendoza is going to be a very high draft pick. Fernando Mendoza is a great quarterback who's got his team set up phenomenally in the college football playoff. I don't want to take that away from him, but I think there's things that surround. I think everything that comes with Diego Pavia, I think, is the reason why he has the slight edge in this race. When it comes to the NFL draft race, Mendoza will have the major edge in that. So it's going to be fun nonetheless. It's going to be a tight race. But Diego Pavia, Eli Stowers, first team All-SEC, Relia Quest Bowl. Is there going to be any opt-outs in that game? We're going to answer that question. I don't anticipate there are, but we're going to answer that question next. First, I want to talk to you about FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting, man. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is the best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets red hot, a defense tightens up, or momentum flips after a turnover, any of that. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as the guys heat up. And you can bet touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, and every single possibility. So if you want to be in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. All right, thanks for making Locked On your first listen each and every day. Thank you for making Locked On Podcast Network #1 in the world. So thank you for making Locked On Vandy your first listen. Thank you for making Locked On #1. So I want to tell you guys about the Everydayers Club. Man, being an everydayer is a cool thing. The truest fans is the everydayer. Your reward is an example. The everydayer might recall some things. You can be a part of that. You never miss an episode. It's time to make it official. If you want to join the Locked On Everydayer Club and get ad-free audio access to our members and members-only Discord and more, man, it's all built around that. So make sure you head to lockedonvandy.supercast.com. It's $5 a month, $50 a year. It's phenomenal if you want to do it. It's you can't miss with that. It's the Everydayers Club. You get all of that. Like I said, members free Discord. Like you can get in and chat about Vanderbilt or about anything really. So make sure you take advantage of that. Now, congrats to Eli Stowers. Congrats to Diego Pavia making first team All SEC. They've been huge parts of this team's success throughout the course of this season. And certainly, hopefully, I say certainly, I switched that to kind of hopefully in the same token to extend to the ReliaQuest Bowl. Now, the name is awful. The name sounds like the ReliaQuest Bowl. It sounds terrible, but the matchup's great. It's actually a great bowl. It was the Outback Bowl for a while, Hall of Fame Bowl. It's the Tampa Bowl, right? So my hope is our two All SEC award winners will not opt out, which I don't anticipate there is going to be any opt-outs. I think if you look at the portal and look at the guys that could hit the portal, obviously, you got to kind of look at that, and there's some potential opt-outs there. But I think some of those guys are rotational guys or like the big-time contributors that I feel like are either going to come back next year or the guys that are looking to play at the next level. I think they're going to stick around. And Jordan White is nominated for the Remington Award. You're going to have a Remington Award duel here. You're going to know who's going to win the Remington before the game, but it's going to be fun to watch this Iowa team because I've been slowly watching their highlights. I've been watching. I went through and watched a good bit of the Nebraska stuff, and their second half team. They started slow in that game. The weather kind of sucked, but I like Kamari Moulton, Mark Gronowski. The more I watch him, he impresses me, and he impressed me at South Dakota State too. I mean, he was great in the FCS. He has 2 national titles, so he knows how to win. He's not as good of a passer, but he's every bit as good of a runner as Diego is. Same kind of style player, chip on his shoulder, just runs tough, runs hard, things like that. He's a great leader, and I think his passing stats or his overall statistics are never going to wow you, but I really like the way he plays. But for Iowa, there's a couple of opt-outs that they may have. I'm not sure yet. They haven't been officially announced. It's just all speculation at this point. So neither coach anticipates a whole lot of opt-outs, if any. But for Vanderbilt, I think if you had an opt-out of a guy that's leaving due to losing eligibility after this game, I think Eli Stowers would probably be the number 1 candidate for opting out because he has nothing to prove, and he may just want to get on with his NFL journey, and he'll likely opt out and start getting ready for the draft, and he'll be that first rounder. That would not shock me. I would not blame him. None of that. And he deserves it. But on one hand, I think he would do that, and maybe a lot of people are telling him to do that. But on the other hand, on the flip side, I could see him playing in this game. Why? Because he wants to. He loves his teammates. He wants to enjoy the bowl experience. I think getting in a Florida Bowl, I think, will help a lot of these guys not opt out, because at Vanderbilt, you don't get into a whole lot of bowl games. Bowl games are not a regular thing. Maybe they will be in the future with this brand new Vanderbilt, but I don't think a whole lot of people are going to be wanting to opt out. And I think Clark Lee has built a culture where these guys just love football, and these guys just love being around each other. And I think that's a big reason why they were 10-2 and just missed the playoffs. So as far as opt-outs go, I would be surprised if there was a ton of them. I think the only people that would be opting out would be the guys getting in the transfer portal, which I don't think there's going to be a ton of guys getting in the transfer portal. I think there's going to be some rotational guys, like some of the people to alleviate the logjam at quarterback. Like, I think some guys that are in between the starters and the freshmen are going to kind of go to greener pastures. And I think there might be a couple of these wide receivers, these younger wide receivers that hit the portal. Maybe a couple down the line offensive linemen that might get recruited over. They might hit the portal. There's going to be some guys that are going to be tampered with. I think that are going to be recruited. Maybe they hit the portal, maybe they don't. And then, I think the leadership on this team is not going to let any guy that wants to try to come back, or any guy that, shouldn't opt out. I think the leadership is going to, try their best to not let that happen. So opt-outs, I'd be surprised. But a topic that I really think is interesting, Diego Pavia got invited, and he obviously accepted an invitation to the Senior Bowl. This is the next step for Diego. This is going to be an interesting debate moving forward throughout the offseason. And this is going to be, again, when we talk about quarterbacks, this will be another avenue for probably the most famous, probably the most successful Vanderbilt quarterback in program history. What is his chances at the NFL? We'll discuss. We'll start the discussion next. First, it's all about Rougier. Let's talk about something that men don't bring up, but absolutely should. Stress from work, money, life. It doesn't switch off at night. And when it shows up at the worst possible time, Rougier Ready is designed to help you take back control. Rougier Ready is the next generation prescription treatment created to support both brain and the body, so you feel present, confident, and ready when the moment matters. Rougier Ready combines 3 clinically proven ingredients, one in mint that dissolves under your tongue so it absorbs fast. The science behind Rougier Ready stands out. 3 clinical proven ingredients in one formula designed for both mental and physical readiness. You connect with a board-certified doctor online, and everything ships discreetly to your door. It's easy to understand why over 150,000 men have already made the switch. Most men are ready in about 15 minutes on average, so you can stay present, confident, and in control when the moment is right. If you've been thinking about taking the next step, now is the time. Head to RougietReady.com/LockedOnCollege. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnCollege to get 15% off your order for a limited time. Rougier Ready. Feel present, feel confident, feel ready. All right, wrap it up here. Locked On Vandy. Thanks for making us your first listen. Thanks for making Locked On Podcast Network number 1. We appreciate that. At Locked On Vandy on all social media platforms. Thank you for following, like, subscribe, all of that good stuff. If you want to follow along and be a part of the show, the Everydayers Club is a great deal. $5 a month, $50 a year. You get ad-free audio, members only Discord access. And there's a lot more on the table there. And if any of y'all are interested in an all access level, let me know. That will be in the works. If I get enough people interested, that'd be really good. So I do extra segment. You get access to a newsletter, direct texting with me, if that's what you want to do. Some extra content, like some, film breakdowns and things like that. So make sure if you're interested in that thing, if you're interested in that, that's $15 a month and I think $100 a year. And it would be good stuff. But anyway, I might do some Diego Pavia Senior Bowl stuff and some Diego Pavia NFL draft breakdowns as part of that all access. You never know. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, just let me know. Shoot me a message, shoot me a DM on social media. Let me know you'd be interested in that kind of thing, and I will make it happen. All right. But Diego Pavia was invited. He accepted. First of all, the Senior Bowl has a new sponsor. I wasn't ready for that one. It's the Panini Senior Bowl now. Reese's has said, no. We don't want to be a part of this game. So it's crazy. I wasn't ready for that one. But Diego Pavia is he's coming to the Senior Bowl. He's going to be in Mobile in January. So that'll be fun. It'll give him a chance to kind of prove his worth and prove where he's at. The question in all of this is, can he make it in the NFL? Knowing what we know about Diego Pavia, I know the overall answer, the resounding answer that I'm going to get a lot in the comments. I know everyone's going to be coming from all different directions here. No. It's going to be no. It's going to be no. It's going to be no. No, he can't make it. No, he sucks. No, Diego's this. Diego's that. Yeah. But people have been saying that for a while. People said Clark Lee was going to get fired mid-season. Diego was going to be a non-factor, and Vanderbilt was going to remain in obscurity. They made a bowl game on Diego Pavia's back, and he was injured for half the season, and he led them to that bowl game. And this year they said, it was just a fluke. They're going to be, 4 wins is their ceiling. 4-8's their ceiling. That's about where Diego Pavia and this Vanderbilt team is. And 10-2, he's a Heisman finalist, maybe a front runner, maybe going to win the award. And now we have to figure out if he can make it to the NFL and make it in the NFL when he gets there. Now, as far as draft stock, all of that I think is going to be, coming into the draft process. If you look at what NFL scouts look at, you don't have a whole lot of confidence that he's going to be high in draft stock. But the good news is with the NFL, sometimes that doesn't matter. Sometimes it does. Other times it doesn't. There's guys that have been drafted late that make it. There's been guys that have been drafted late that don't make it out of rookie minicamp. There's been guys drafted in the first round at the top of the first round that make it, and guys that wash out almost immediately. Like, it's all over the board when it comes to NFL careers, especially at the 2 hardest positions, I think, for the NFL to judge is quarterback and offensive line. I think those are the 2 hardest positions to project because you just don't know. Because quarterback is there's so many things involved in being a quarterback that people don't realize, that as far as commanding the huddle, getting command of the offense, being able to check, being able to hear multiple calls in your helmet, which, I think college doing the helmet thing has been great. Has been great preparation for that. But I just think there's so many things, you don't know how they're going to react to guys that are better, and guys you think that would react well don't, and guys you don't think would react well react well. Like, and in no way, I'm not. And when I draw on these comparisons, I'm not comparing directly, and I'm not trying to go apples to apples here. I'm just giving you guys and giving you examples of like some of these things that you'd be surprised with, like Josh Allen. I'm not comparing Diego to Josh, but Josh Allen coming out of Wyoming. Wyoming is in the Mountain West. Mountain West is not known for producing a ton of NFL talent. I mean, they have their fair share, but you're not going against NFL defenses week in and week out. So how does he learn? How does he get there? Well, you've got to have a great head on your shoulders, and you've got to be somebody that's going to work hard. Diego has shown that he's going to be able to work hard. So I think in that aspect, I think he's going to be able to learn how to assimilate. Is a team going to give him that chance? I don't know. But everything he's done, I think he's going to go down there to the Senior Bowl. And I'm going to talk more about this because we got plenty of time. Like, once January kind of kicks off and that week is happening, I think he's going to go down there and have a great week. I think he's going to do great in the interviews because he exudes himself really well. I think I think everybody on his team is going to love him. And I think these NFL teams are going to look at Diego Pavia and say, this guy is awesome. Like, I wish he was 6'2". That's what they're going to come away from the Senior Bowl saying. I wish Diego was 6'2". It's going to be his measurables that I think is going to hold him back, unfortunately. He plays like he's 6'5". He's got that type of chip on his shoulder. So he's going to go down there and perform really well. And he's going to be one of those, what do we do? Do you draft him? Like, it's going to be tough for a lot of GMs to be like, to go to their owners and say, we got to draft this kid. We don't know why, but we just got to, there's something about him. We got to draft this kid. He's a winner. He's a dog. We got to draft him. And there's going to be a lot of GMs and there's going to be a lot of owners that are like, no, we'll recruit him as an undrafted guy, bring him into camp if you can, but we're not going to lose sleep over it. And that's the way the NFL works in a nutshell, sort of. Anyway, well, that's all I got. That's all I got for you guys today. Hopefully, like I said, thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen every day. Thank you for tuning in. And we're going to continue. There's some, I'm going to continue to tell you why Diego deserves to win the Heisman until the ceremony's over. So get used to that. We're gonna drop a little hoops knowledge in there. I want to give the basketball team, who they're on a little bit of a break right now from some games. They're kind of in like a bye stretch, I think. So we'll talk about basketball a little bit. We'll talk about this bowl game each and every day up until leading up to the ReliaQuest Bowl. We'll talk about all of that stuff coming up from now until whenever. So make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On Vandy so you get all the latest episodes. Catch the show at Locked On Vandy on all platforms. Guess what? I got a question for you. Did Locked On Vandy make your Spotify Wrapped? Prove it on social media to secure a free month of our brand new Everydayer Club. Just tag our national Locked On Podcast Network account on any social platform, and we'll drop you a code. Be one of the first to join the Everydayers Club to get your favorite show ad-free and exclusive access to the members-only Discord channel. And for those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 national Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. And on audio, make sure your second listen is Locked On College Football. But until next time, anchor down. Peace.